Welcome to tonight's show. As we discussed last week, we said tonight was going to be all about health, nutrition, and fitness. So tonight's show is going to be called Kicking It with FC Woodhaven and Natural Body. Tonight, we're fortunate to have Steve Calabrese here from Natural Body Inc.
I'm honored to be here.
Thanks for coming in. And again, we're going to do a lot of questions. We've asked you guys to send some questions in, so we have some questions to start off with, but we want to educate everyone. You know, again, it's health, nutrition, and fitness. And not only does Steve, he owns Natural Body, he created the brand, he's also a big part of the club. All three of your kids, Nico, Alessia, and Gianni, play for Woodhaven Soccer Club. His wife, Susan, is one of our team managers. So not only is he Natural Body, he's also a soccer dad, and we're very grateful
I'm very involved.
Have you.
Very involved.
Very involved. So, and again, we want you to send your questions in. There's two ways you can send them in. You can email us directly to info@woodhavensoccer.com. In the subject, use Ask Steve. You could also tweet us at FC Woodhaven using the hashtag Ask Steve. So, Steve, 1996, you created Natural Body.
Yes.
What went into it?
So, in 1996, I was going to St. John's University studying basically broadcasting. My exact department of education was known as sports management, and I was also studying business. While I was a sophomore, I began more of a consistent training regimen, and at that point, I started using nutritional supplements. Of course, it took me a really long time to start to understand what certain supplements were doing, but I would not put a single thing in my body until I researched it. Now, the internet wasn't as robust and vast as it is today. So when I used a specific product, the first product I ever used was a product called Dr. Fred Hatfield's Anaerobic Power, a product that 19 years later, we actually still sell at Natural Body. It was a combination amino acid, creatine, really high-end encapsulated product. And while I was in St. John's University, I was spending anywhere from $30 to $40 per bottle on this product. Now, I was working at my uncle's pizzeria at the time, making pizza in a pizzeria called Lillian's in Forest Hills. And basically, half of my weekly paycheck would go towards supplying my nutritional supplement needs. To make a very long story short, I incorporated in 1996 because I felt there was a better way to inject nutritional information, not only to the people that I was training with, but all the people I had access to across all channels, St. John's University, friends, people in the gym, people in the community. So when I incorporated, I actually tried to incorporate under the name Elite Physiques. Thank God that didn't happen, because that would have been an absolutely terrible name. The reason I incorporated under Natural Body was because at the time I took training and working out so to heart in such a way that the passion would shine through each and every workout that I had in the gym. So people that were my friends and peers started to ask me, because I developed so quickly, in terms of my strength performance, speed, power, physical performance, in terms of growth, they were starting to accuse me of traveling the route of using non-natural substances. I went as far as getting blood work done to prove to the masses that this was 100% natural. I would say to all my friends, I have so many to this day.
This was friends saying this to you.
Yeah, friends and peers, and I got along with everyone in the community. So it was more of like a joking type thing between us guys. But I went and got my blood work done, and I showed all my peers and friends and all the people I worked out with in the gym. And I said, guys, check this out. This is 100% indicative of how natural I really am. I have a natural body. So when the name Elite Physiques was taken, and thank God it was, I then went to my lawyer and I said, I'd like to see if the name Natural Body is available. And it was. And that's what we named the location. So back then, I actually started selling this. I was incorporated selling creatine in this product called Fred Hatfield's Anaerobic Power out of the trunk of my car. It was a 1994 or 93 Sterling. It was a British-made vehicle. I later created a little bit more of a product line in my basement.
Were you looking to do it as a business, or were you looking
Not at all. Not at all. This was all started just so that I can incorporate, because I knew at some point sales were going to get to a point where I can pull away from working a job at the pizzeria and just focusing on selling a single product, anaerobic power. So I got into the business selling the one product, but eventually it got so big that I wanted to explore other product lines and other products, and it aggressed to my basement apartment. So it scaled up a bit, and I had brands like Twin Lab and Muscle Tech, EAS, Next Nutrition, which made designer protein, which was my protein of choice back then, a protein we still sell today. And from there, later on, I graduated college. I wanted to always work in the NFL to do analysis work. I wanted to be like the modern day Adam Schefter. So therefore,
and I just want to touch, you said NFL.
Yeah.
Steve is a huge Miami Dolphin fan.
Huge. My whole life been a Dolphin fan. So I worked at the NFL. I did my internship there, and I realized at the time, because from the car to the basement, we opened up a store on 94th Street in Ozone Park, Queens, a small 300 square foot store, and I was doing better financially at the time as a college graduate than I was actually working a 9-to-5 job in Manhattan at 280 Park Avenue at the NFL offices. I chose to put my career at the NFL on hold, which I one day hope to resume in terms of that field, the analysis field. But we took Natural Body to where it is today. But I opened the first store about 6 months into my sophomore year at St. John's. So I was operating a retail business while I was a student at a university at St. John's.
Right. And again, everyone in the neighborhood knows you, what you started. We tell our parents, and I'm constantly telling them about Natural Body, where you built a brand. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. You built a brand, and everything that you sell in your store is what you believe in.
Yes.
And support. You know, talk about how you have a lot going on. You have a mega store coming.
Okay.
You have the Brooklyn store.
Yeah. So we started. You know, Natural Body started again from the trunk to the basement to a little store on 94th Street. We went and progressed to a new store on Cross Bay Boulevard about 6-7 years ago. From there, we moved next door. From 10702 to 10706 to a bigger store, had a warehouse that operates naturalbodyinc.com, our website. The bottom line is we're growing. It's fantastic. I have an amazing team behind me. We couldn't do it without all the people in place. But the one key ingredient that made all that happen was belief. Belief in not only, myself, belief in people to run our brand, but also a belief in a better way to tell people or to instruct people how to create a better, not only nutritional regimen, training regimen for themselves, but ultimately a better life. While I was in the beginning stages of opening a store, I was also doing personal training. But people are like, Steve, did you do any more personal training? To me, it was never really personal training. It was more life coaching.
Right.
So anytime somebody came in and said, Steve, I need a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, somebody to show me or tell me what to eat, how to work out, I would, flip the script and I would hit the reset button and ask them about everything happening in their life. We'd figure out a way, because you're all different. Every human being on the planet is different. Everybody responds differently to training, to nutrition. You have to understand the back end of someone's life. You have to understand those dynamics, and you have to understand what's going on in the here and now to identify where you would press on the gas to help them achieve their ultimate goals. And it was more like life coaching. And that's where we are today. I don't get to do as much in the life coaching field as I did before. I'd love to get back into it at some point. Right now, we're in the growth process. We're building this incredible mega store, like Anthony said, that's 3,000 square feet. Everything I've always dreamed of, children's health. We'll be able to identify issues in terms of senior health. We're going to have nutritional products there that we've never had before. We're going to have nutritional products there that aid in digestion, immune system health, anti-inflammatory on a natural level. We're going to have equipment there. We're going to have products that people can take home, and instead of getting a membership in the gym, they can actually, go home and have workout. We're going to have really amazing things there so people can bring the whole idea of training to their home in a very easy way.
And this is why having Steve here tonight, and again, he's also a soccer dad, but he is a professional. And this is such a benefit for Woodhaven Soccer Club to not only have him as a soccer dad, but to have him as a professional, who's someone that knows, and this is his life. This is what he does. So again, get those questions in. You can email us, info@woodhavensoccer.com, using the subject Ask Steve. You can tweet us at FC Woodhaven using the hashtag Ask Steve. We have some questions here. We'll start the questions in a little while. I want to talk about with your 3 kids. Mm-hmm. They play youth sports.
Yes.
Big soccer players. But again, this show, even though Steve is here, and yes, we're a soccer club, this is all about youth sports. This not just about soccer right now. How do you and your wife deal with your children as far as the eating habits and based on the health, nutrition, fitness? Give us a little take on your own kids.
Okay, so because of my knowledge on what really occurs, not only in the supplement and vitamin industry, but what's out there in our foods, we're very keen and we're very on top of what we give our kids, because certain foods do possess certain dangers, and we want to make sure that we can minimize any chance of those dangers occurring at this point in their life and later on in life, because what we feed our kids now is so important to not only their physical growth, but their mindset, clarity, brain function, heart health, organ health. So we're very, very on top of the nutritional foods that we give our kids. We're very calculated in the combinations of foods that we give our kids. Of course, our children's go to parties. Our children's have events. We don't cut out everything. But what we do is we minimize the amount of those, what we feel, which are, I wouldn't call them like super dangerous foods, but some of those foods that may contain some of those harsh ingredients, we want to minimize their intake of those foods. Growing up as athletes, I played sports my whole life. My wife was a scholarship athlete. We truly understand how important it is for supplements, vitamins, and especially our food intake, how that could accelerate us to echelons we never dreamt possible.
What are some of those food items that you said that you try to have them stay away?
Okay, so we want to minimize fast food, of course. We want to minimize genetically engineered ingredients that are not of the earth, ingredients that are made by some type of lab or manufacturing plant to add color, to add taste. Partially hydrogenated oils. We want to avoid those synthetic fats. We want to avoid food coloring. We want to avoid high fructose corn syrup. Some of the unnatural ingredients and additives that make our food more attractive and also add quite a bit of taste. A lot of these foods create damage on such a level that it's almost impossible to reverse some of those effects after long-term use of these synthetic ingredients. We want to make sure that we minimize, at the very least, the intake of these foods, especially in young kids,
right,
where they're so susceptible at this point because their cells are growing. Their body is in the ultimate stages of development at that age. So whatever we're bringing into our children's lives at that point is crucial for their development long-term.
Now, you touched on fast food. And again, we have a lot of parents and players that are at the field until 7:30, 8 o'clock. And by the time they get off the field, they haven't eaten, they need to eat, and a lot of them eat fast food.
Yeah.
Why is fast food no good for them?
Well, remember, after any type of training, your cells are exhausted. Your body is the ultimate sponge at that point. It's what we call the critical time period for rehabilitation at the cellular level, organ level, brain, your brain cells, your muscle cells. Everything is waiting for nutrition to arrive. Now, that could either be negative or positive nutrition. Whatever it is that you're feeding your body after a training session, an athletic session, whatever, a practice, a game, swimming, biking, whatever it is, we want to make sure that we're bringing in the right foods, because at that point, it's critical for those foods to create the rehabilitation that we need them to create. So it's pivotal that they intake a complement of natural foods that are quick to digest so that their bodies can rehabilitate and maximize recovery.
Now, another thing is, you came to one of our meetings 2-3 months ago, and our team managers were there, and we were talking about drinks and fluids, and came up, Gatorade is no good for the players. And a majority of our players, we see them with Gatorade. Explain to the parents why Gatorade is no good during a game.
So,
before.
Again, we're going back to colors. So the look, the taste. You have different elements of synthetic ingredients in there. The corn syrups, the artificial colors, the artificial sweeteners. The reason why we want to stay away from sports drinks is because the ingredients, again, are of unnatural substances. So while they taste good and while they look good, you don't want to intake any of these sports drinks, because what they're doing at the cellular level in terms of damage, brain damage, cell damage, they're not able to convert to usable beneficial nutrition. What we're doing during those games, the pregame, the intra-game, and the post-game, is so crucial to our bodies maximizing the idea of endurance. So let's get away from the artificial ingredients in our sports drinks and maybe have a bowl of blueberries, or even vitamin water. Vitamin water may not be the very best thing, but even the introduction of the new vitamin water, the Vitamin Water Zero, is all natural. Vitamin water ingredients, the ingredients that I've looked at, are all natural and acceptable. But ultimately, during a game, best thing to do is maybe, take a NutriBullet and take a variety of very easy to digest fruits and, water them down and have your kids sip on those during a game. Because at that point, at least you're bringing on antioxidants, nutritional elements that will not only create a beneficial nutritional environment in their body, but will help them maximize their skills on the field at that very moment.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Staying away from synthetics is crucial, because those synthetics cause such a drastic amount of cellular confusion that it could actually impact them during a game, but more importantly, with their overall health.
All right. And again, we know parents have a lot of questions. We're going to start a few questions now. Once again, email us, info@woodhavensoccer.com, using the subject Ask Steve. We have Steve here, and he's going to ask questions because we know parents, they want to know. So we're going to start with one question right now. What would you recommend as a nutritionally beneficial after training session meal? Some of our players arrive to their training session straight from school and eat dinner usually after 7:30 p.m. Goes back to what I was saying. A lot of our teams, especially now in the spring season, some of them are not going to get home until 8 o'clock.
So as a parent, most of our children are in bed. My kids are in bed by 7:30. Other kids, 9:30, 10 p.m. But what we don't want to do at that point at night is we don't want to load their bodies with such a massive amount of food. Why? Because number one, it's very tough for the body to digest a full complement of different foods. because our bodies at that point are in tuned down mode. So therefore, as our bodies are preparing for rest, we need as much plasma and cellular activity to be here in the brain, so that we can achieve the deepest, most quality sleep possible, so that when we wake up, we're refreshed and ready to attack the day, adults and children. So therefore, as a post-workout or training or game meal, we want to introduce very easy to digest foods. White rice, maybe 2 to 4 ounces of a ground chicken, white meat or white meat ground turkey. Even beef is okay. If you get a very lean cut organic version of beef, at least you're providing the right sources of nutrition to, again, enhance recovery, maximize recovery. What we want to do at night is keep the meal small to bring nutritional food sources that are going to enhance, maximize recovery, and at the same time allow them to reach the deepest amounts of sleep possible. What we want to do is we want to make sure the gut is as empty as possible before bed, so that we can avoid digesting while we're sleeping, so that your blood flow is here and not here in your gut, so that when we wake up, we're not exhausted, and when we wake up, we're ready to attack the day, because we had achieved a very deep level of sleep, which has the most massive amounts of benefits in the world. Massive amounts of sleep, very deep sleep, allows your body to heal, and that's the goal.
Very, very interesting. All right, another question. In your opinion, what should a player eat after a game? My children are usually famished, which, you pretty much touched on that a little bit with the first question.
Okay, my belief as far as a post-game meal, it all depends on what time the game ends. Right. So if the game ends at 9 p.m., again, we want to introduce a very small portioned complement of proteins, carbohydrates, and maybe a little bit of fruit, because fruit digests very quickly, and at the same time, it allows them to get some of that sweet taste that they're looking for. Now, usually I'm a proponent of keeping fruit away from your proteins and carbohydrates, because the acid-alkaline combination just doesn't jive with our digestive systems, the way our digestive systems are set up. So after a game, a combination of a rice pasta, a potato as your carbohydrate. And again, you can dress it up. Find a combination of toppings that are all natural that your children will gravitate to and enjoy. A protein source, again, chicken, beef, turkey, veal, lamb, something along the lines of an organic. Look for organic. Small portions, again, 2 to 4 ounces of a protein source and a 1/4 cup of a carbohydrate source, and a vegetable. Dress up your vegetable with a natural topping. That would be
we just have right now. How do we get our kids to eat vegetables? Me personally, my kids absolutely love vegetables, which is a good thing, but that is another question we just have right now. How to get them to eat vegetables.
So vegetables to me are amongst the most valuable sources of nutrition on the earth. Vegetables provide a load of antioxidants and a load of anti-aging and recovery benefits. Most kids, do not like vegetables. So what we have to do is we have to take this very well-calculated journey and dive into the world of vegetables and see what our kids actually enjoy. And pairing up a vegetable with a topping, a natural topping, is going to be a long journey, but at the same time, a very worthwhile one. Because once we're able to identify what our kids like in the worldwide kingdom of vegetables and the worldwide kingdom of toppings.
Everyone thinks vegetables, they think of broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. But there's other vegetables.
There's hundreds and hundreds of different vegetables. I can have a list prepared and gladly, put them on the site here at FC Woodhaven Soccer Club. But there's hundreds of different vegetables that we can match up with hundreds of different amazing tasting toppings that are all natural. And once we pair up those vegetables with those toppings and identify what works for our kids, then you have a plan of success for life. because those vegetables are going to provide nutritional elements that a lot of other foods will never provide. So it's very important to find those vegetables, and it's going to be a long, exhaustive journey in some cases. So, you know, taking that trip to the supermarket, picking up, you know, 6 or 10 different types of vegetables on each trip, you'll eventually find maybe 2, 3, or maybe even half a dozen different vegetables that your kids enjoy.
And again, parents, we have Steve here. Keep sending those questions in, info@woodhavensoccer.com, using the subject Ask Steve. We also have Giovanni Tumbaco here, who's Gabby and Amanda's dad.
Hello, you can hear me out there in the internet world.
You want to come and sit?
No, I'm good right here.
What kind of? I know you had some questions.
Yeah, I had a quick question. My daughter loves to wake up and she loves to eat breakfast in the morning.
Okay.
She's a big breakfast eater. But I've noticed that if we have a morning game, while she's playing, she's very sluggish. So I tend to not want to feed her during AM games. I just want to see what's your take. Should I not?
And we get a lot of those questions because parents, they want to know, you know, what to feed them. So this is perfect, right?
This is the most critical. So this is probably the most important question of all. This, you know, long-term nutritional success, you know, pressing that button, of course, is the key. But in the morning, to maximize anyone's performance, your stomach has to be as empty as possible. Once you introduce a number of food items to your body has to go through a process known as digestion. It has to identify each of these food groups and turn it over and create energy from the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, whatever it is that we're eating in the morning. So therefore, a lot of the energy that you need to complete digestion comes from your brain cells. A lot of the energy comes from the fluid in between your joints. So everything is arriving into your digestive system. So now all your blood is there trying to break down your food. So therefore, you're not operating your body in terms of your joints on a maximum level or in terms of brain function on a maximum level. So what we want to do is make sure that if our kids are famished or hungry in the morning, we're feeding them a very light combination of protein and fat. The reason why protein and fat work so well is because fat, the omega fatty acids in fat help feed the brain. They help create joint lubrication. They help create energy bursts. They also help with the body's ability to create endurance. Protein will help minimize muscle damage during their games or their training sessions. Very light amounts. What would be perfect in the morning would be a hard-boiled egg or a scrambled egg with a handful of macadamia nuts. Something very light. Now, I understand in the morning a kid may look at that and not be so excited, but I'm of the school of thought, and I believe this is super important, that we have to put our feet down and make sure that our children understand why we're feeding them these different types of foods, because we want them to be the very best they can, not only for themselves on the field, but they owe it to their teammates. So if these different food groups could help them excel, they're benefiting everybody that they're on the field with, everybody that's on the sideline. And not only the team, the people involved with the team, you as a dad, you as a coach, as an owner of the entire corporation here at Woodhaven Soccer Club, me as a parent, my wife as a manager. What they eat is critical to the success of the entire organization. That meal could be the difference between us losing by a goal and us winning by a goal. So that's why it's important for early games. You know, if a child wakes up at 6 a.m. and the game is at 9, yeah, I understand we can get a larger size meal, because at that point we can digest and turn over that food and more convert it to fuel. It would be more readily available to convert to fuel so they can use that fuel during the game. But we still have to keep in our minds that true digestion can take from 3 to 6 hours. So therefore, we do not want blood sitting in our digestive system. We want that blood here. We want that blood amongst our joints, running through our bodies, so we can maximize our energy while we're playing.
One more question now. I like to train, and I noticed that I usually have a nice big meal the day before, and it complements me the day after when I go to the gym and I work out. Does that say the same for kids while they're playing? A nice nutritional meal before the night before is what I'm asking.
Yeah, so it's very interesting how our bodies work. Our bodies are set up exactly the way, you know, a young child's body would be set up, except our bodies would create digestive aggression. It would be much more aggressive to digest certain elements of food, especially at our age. Children are set up the same way, but eating the day before a game would absolutely help the conversion of carbohydrates, protein, fat, fruits to energy. So what happens during the process of digestion is a process known as glycogenesis. Glycogenesis is the ability for the body to take food and convert it to energy. It puts it in these muscle storage areas, muscle storage compartments. So therefore, when it's time to play and that digestive breakdown has occurred at a maximized level, our body will maximize the use of those foods because the energy aspect of it will be available for us. So that's why if you're training in the gym on a Tuesday and you have a meal on a Monday at 7 p.m. and you go to the gym in the morning on an empty stomach, your body will have probably one of its best workouts because that food is ready. It's locked. It's loaded. It's ready to go. Not only in your muscle compartments, but your brain is feeding off that fuel as well. Same thing with kids, of course.
Parents, players, coaches, I hope a half hour in you're realizing what an asset Steve is to our club. So let's go to some more questions. Just got one in. Here's a good one. What is your opinion on giving kids protein shakes?
Okay, well, I'm very opposed to 90% of what's out there. You have to be very careful what protein powders you give your kids because a lot of them have artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, and also you have to be careful in terms of how much protein you're giving a child at, anywhere from 3 to 12 years of age because their digestive ability at that age isn't as aggressive as our digestive ability at between 18 and older. So therefore, your protein powders, your protein bars, make sure they're all natural, avoid artificial sweeteners, and make sure you're avoiding corn syrup, synthetic fatty sources like hydrogenated oil. Make sure that your powders are not colored artificially. So natural, preferably organic protein sources are available. We sell them to tons of parents that give it to their children, but you want to give your child anywhere from 6 to 12 grams of protein per serving in a powder. Not only because it's a different type of protein source, but because you have to kind of gauge the way their body handles a brand new source of protein entering their body.
And again, go to Natural Body. He has these products. If he's got naturalbodyinc.com. If you go to our website, his logo's on our website. That link will take you right to the website. The address is at 134.
Well, the address of the location on Crossbay is 10706. That's our retail store here in Queens. Our retail store in Patchogue is 100 West Main Street. Again, we're opening in Brooklyn at 3049 Avenue U in about a 2-week time span. I wanted to touch on protein powder for children again. Now, a lot of the natural, a lot of the organic powders out there, they don't taste as good as the artificial flavored ones, of course. But dress them up: peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter. You can put all natural cocoa in there. There are so many different options to dressing up a protein powder that will bring a very bland experience to an experience of happiness, of joy for a child. So dressing up your protein powder is absolutely okay. And again, a child between 1 to even 9 or 12 years of age, 6 to 12 grams of protein per serving initially. You can work them up to anywhere between 12 and 18 grams, but that would be the maximum I would suggest in a child, especially when their digestive systems are being built during those years.
Well, and that's another thing, because your whole brand and your business is customer service. So you can go in, right? Parents can come in, ask questions. Your team
absolutely.
is there to answer anything.
Now, I work behind the counter. I'm not behind the counter as much as I used to be. We're running the company a little differently, but I'm in the warehouse. I'm a block down. So what happens is anytime somebody comes in and asks for me, I get a phone call. Why? Because I demand it. I want to know 100% of the time who's there for me, because there may be questions that only I can answer. And there's a lot of cases where parents come in and they only want to speak to me. Friends come in, they only want to speak to me. You know, I worked behind the counter for the greater part of 18 years. And while the bulk of my staff is incredibly evolved in the understanding of nutrition, there are certain aspects of it that still are very new to them. And any questions that any parent or child would have, I will gladly come in and be of personal service to them.
Well, we just got a question from one of our players, the U13 player, and he wants to know, is cereal okay to eat before a game?
Okay, you have to be very careful in terms of what cereals you choose, because they're compromised of a lot of different grains. Now, again, digestive system, that is so crucial. Always think of how your digestive system handles your foods. Different cereals are very tough to digest, dependent on how many grains are presented in those cereals, because your body has to break down each ingredient one at a time. And sometimes, you know, if you introduce 6 different grains to your body has to break down each different grain, and that can take up to 6 hours. So therefore, all the plasma and blood in your body is arriving into your digestive system, taking away from what you have here and what you have running through the rest of your body. So therefore, you want to leave your digestive system empty. Choose cereals that are all natural. Make sure you're avoiding high fructose corn syrups or corn syrups of any type. Make sure you're avoiding genetically engineered ingredients like corn. Make sure your corn, if it's in your cereal, says non-GMO. You want to make sure that you're not loading your body with tons of synthetic sugars that are associated with these cereals. So
are there certain brands that
Kashi makes a decent line of cereals. Some of the ingredients in there I'm not that thrilled about, but some of the natural forms of cereal, the Panda products, the Panda Crunch, those are some of the cereals that I actually use. The Panda line of cereals, 100% natural, non-genetically engineered. They're in my home, and they make varieties that include chocolate crunch, a peanut butter crunch, a corn pops that's non-genetically engineered, that's all natural. And most of those cereals are single and double grain only cereals. I would suggest eating those cereals 3 to 4 hours away from game time, so that therefore your body can digest those different carbohydrate sources.
And Steve, does this go with every meal, 2 to 3 hours before a game? Does this go with, let's say, 3 o'clock a game? Should my kids' meal be 12 o'clock the last meal?
So if there's a game at 3 o'clock, even if there's a practice at 3, 100% that last meal, depending on size, should be anywhere from 11:30 to 12 o'clock. Because again, your body, you can't fight what your body is designed to do. Your body takes anywhere from 3 to 4 and up to 6 hours, depending on size of meal and combination of foods, to digest and convert that food to readily available energy. So therefore, I highly suggest 3 hours out from game time, you cut off your intake of foods. Unless, you know, if you're really famished at that point, blueberries, strawberries, pineapple, you know, some nuts. Those are foods that convert to energy and digest very quickly. Coconut chips, that's an amazing one. Medium chain triglycerides. Those are the fats that are found in coconut. Medium chain triglycerides arrive in the body as if they're carbohydrates, but they're converted to this readily available fuel in minutes. So therefore, it's fuel that not only empowers cellular energy amongst the body, but cellular energy in the brain. So definitely coconut chips, macadamia nuts, almonds, very powerful brain nutrients. So there's a lot of different foods you can incorporate, up to between 12 and say 1:30 p.m. that will turn over quickly. But you have to be very careful in the portion size of those foods that you introduce to the body.
How about when it comes to snacks? I mean, this past Saturday we were at the New York City FC game, which was really cold.
Yes.
It was definitely cold. And again, when kids are at games and sporting events, there's ice cream, there's potato chips, there's what do you suggest as far as, because we had pretzels and the pretzels were good.
So, there are times when you're at a game, you're at a party, you just can't go into, I'm in diet mode. I have to completely alienate everybody. Those are the times where you get to enjoy, a different type of food, a snack, a large meal, whatever it is that's available. I would highly suggest you try and stay within the healthy product ranges of foods, because years ago at the stadiums, all that was available, hot dogs, hamburgers, pretzels at the time, ice cream. Now, at sporting events, there are so many more healthy options available. So gravitate towards those healthy options. We were at the game this week, pretzels. I had a turkey sandwich, Yankee Stadium for the NYCFC game. They had boar's head oven gold turkey on a Italian roll. So that was my one escape for the week to eating kind of what I wanted. And I have the ability and the comfort level at this point where I've achieved happiness in my weekly diet regimen, nutrition regimen, whatever you want to call it, because I found ways to make my food enjoyable and interesting. So, over the course of the season and the next few years, of course, I will start to implement, maybe programs where people can create ways of making their foods more enjoyable. And there are thousands of ways to put together healthy combinations that are more enjoyable.
You can follow Steve on Instagram at Natural Body. A lot of times you'll put videos and pictures of items that you're eating and breakfast or lunch. So definitely follow Steve at Natural Body on Instagram. You could also follow Natural Body Inc. on Instagram at Natural Body Inc. So definitely keep these questions going. info@woodhavensoccer.com. Use the subject Ask Steve. All right, let's go to another question. Would you recommend protein/vitamin supplements to young players ages 6 to 9, and how about 13 and older?
So when my kids were born, I implemented omega-3s, organic protein, a lot of the nutritional supplements that are available and beneficial to their health at a young age. Again, I just did it in a very small portion size. But remember, for a growing child, essential fatty acids, omega-3s, 6s, 9s, these are very important, not only for the development of their brain, but it's also very important for their joints, for their heart, for their entire cardiovascular system, for their organ development. So what I would recommend is an organic, whole food-based multivitamin. We sell a product called Natural Vitality Kids Calm, which is a liquid multivitamin that I gave my kids for a while. I have Solgar makes a chewable multivitamin that's all natural, and they use a natural form of chewable material in the vitamin. I shouldn't use the word material, food source. So it's a natural food starch in the vitamin that actually acts as a transport to getting these vitamins and minerals in the body. I give my kids a all-natural and organic omega-3 from a company called Barleans that makes a yogurt-based omega-3 fatty acid that's also available in a vegan source. So there are tons of options out there, and in most cases, those options are incredibly enjoyable. So you have those options at your fingertips. Again, with a lot of these vitamin stores, you have to be careful, and you want to avoid a lot of the synthetics, because a lot of the ingredients that are not from the earth, when received in the body will dispose of them, have a very tough time identifying them and digesting and ultimately utilizing them. So avoid the synthetics when you can. If you're in a nutritional supplement store, a Trader Joe's, wherever you are, and you want to buy a multivitamin for your child, make sure you ask them if the ingredients are all natural or synthetic. That's one of the key parts of our brand, is we make sure that we're selling the right products behind our counter to make sure that we maximize not only the health of a child, but to maximize their energy levels out there on a field in terms of any athletic sport that they're engaging in.
And that's why visit Natural Body. He's got the products there for you.
Anthony's endorsing our business more than me, but I appreciate that.
Because you know what it is, and parents notice when I believe in something, I support it 1,000%, and everyone knows that with my beliefs, and when I support something, I want everyone to support it.
And we super appreciate that. But one thing about us is when you walk through our doors, we super prioritize you above everything. Any individual that comes in our store ultimately trusts what we're going to put in the palm of their hands. So we're not only benefiting your life, we're of the mindset and of the ultimate goal to change everyone's life that walks through our doors for the better for life. This is a partnership that we have maximized with our clients and our customers, our family of supporters for an entire lifetime.
And me being one of your customers, I can vouch for that. Before we even knew each other to the basis of how we know each other now, you took a good 45 minutes. I was explaining to you what I wanted to do, and you took a good 45 minutes of your time while customers were still there, but you didn't care. You were focused on my needs and what I wanted, and that was huge, tremendous. To know that somebody, and at this point, I didn't even know that was your business. I thought you were just somebody there working because you happened to be there. So I was in awe to know that when I found out that now this is your company, you took the time out to look at my needs and what I wanted to gain and what I wanted to do. And since then, you had me forever.
So a lot of people come in and they're like, Steve, I want to lose weight. I want a protein powder. I want to maximize my immune system health. I have joint pain. I can't just give somebody a supplement and say, here, take this. This will help you. I need to understand the background of their life. I need to understand what's going on behind the curtain, behind the scenes, to maximize not only their experience with us, but to maximize their health long term, because they may be critical parts in their life that are creating certain issues that if I give them a product to remedy a situation will not work long term. So ultimately, it's all about what you're eating. It's all about your mindset when you wake up every day. So it's critical that I understand who each individual is, how everyone's set up, what makes you tick, what your goals are. So once I understand all these little triggers that make each and every person different, I am able to then maximize their journey and their experience during an entire lifetime. So that's how each and every person associated with our brand gets that information out there. Everybody that works at Natural Body is of the same mindset, of the same teachings from where we created this brand.
Absolutely, and that's your brand is amazing. Just like you said, Natural Body. You have all these vitamin companies, internet companies, but you stand behind what you sell. You have vast knowledge of what you sell. You go to these other companies, GNC, for example, or other big vitamin shop. They have no knowledge. You just walk in there and you ask them something, and they'll just point you in one direction.
Yeah, and that's what I identified. What the issue was, in the early stages when we opened the brand. I remember shopping at a nutritional supplement store and asking key questions and not arriving at any answers that I was happy with. So what I ultimately realized is I had to take a very important journey. And this wasn't a journey about, researching information online or in a book. I had to take the journey back into myself to understand what worked, what didn't, and what ultimately made sense. So what ultimately made sense to me was identifying that the earth was the most important part of this journey, and that foods from the earth had to play a critical role in not only my health, but in the health of thousands and the success of this brand. So what I was able to do was identify nutritional supplements. Let's end that. Identify certain nutritional supplements that were friendly to the earth in terms of having the ingredients that I knew the body could identify with easily. And that's the information we got out there to the greater part of Queens, Brooklyn, now Manhattan, and Long Island. And everybody out there across the country shopping on naturalbodyinc.com as well.
Definitely visit it. Definitely. All right, we just got a question. A lot of people are talking about eating too much. Sometimes my son doesn't want to eat. Is there a product that you can recommend to either open his appetite or make sure he gets the protein he needs? Now, this player is 6 years old. He's actually on one of the teams that Gianni's on. So that's the age.
Okay, so this is an individual that doesn't have an enormous appetite. So again, traveling this journey and trying to identify certain foods, and what we do is we identify a certain amount of food groups and we shut the door. We say this is what's available and that's it. There are thousands and thousands of foods out there that once we take this journey and identify the different foods that your child may enjoy, you have to make that a stable part of their intake on a daily basis. So it's about experimenting, going on a long trip to find and maybe cook and prepare foods a different way that they will, react positively to, that'll bring a smile to their face. So with us, what we do is I make a sorbet every weekend, and that sorbet consists of an all-natural combination of different frozen fruits. You would be shocked how kids respond magically to something that's so natural and so clean. You can get your hands on a natural protein powder, liven it up with some peanut butter, add a banana, maybe, even a natural cookie. There are so many natural cookies now that are out there available at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods that you can crumble into your shakes. And again, you're providing them with this nutritional combination of foods that are just magical. And this is something you can use as a staple in their everyday nutritional intake. But again, it's about experimenting with the different food groups that are out there. I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that's absolutely amazing. So I use a defatted peanut butter called PB2. I personally use that one because I have a triglyceride issue. What got me into nutritional supplements and health and fitness was a disease that I was born with. It's a lipoprotein disease. It's a deficiency of the lipase enzyme. That's another story for another day. But I use a defatted peanut butter. What I would suggest for children is a all-natural, organic almond butter, peanut butter, cashew butter, macadamia nut butter with an all-natural jelly. So you can get a whole fruit jelly, an all-natural butter, almond butter, or any type of nut butter source. Put it on Ezekiel bread, slightly toast it. So now you have a really well put together combination grain bread that's 100% organic. And you have an organic whole fruit jelly that tastes incredible. And you have a nut butter source, and now you have the most magical, healthy form of peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the earth. Now, it's not Wonder Bread with Skippy and Smuckers, but it's an alternative that once you build into their everyday nutritional intake or every other day or once a week, they will get used to, and they will start to despise the unnatural, unhealthy version. What it is most kids on the initial intake of a new food source will react in a way where it's negative. Ooh, I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it tastes. But experimenting with different foods, making it fun, spicing it up, will eventually create this understanding in their mind that this is something that's going to benefit them in every sense. It'll benefit. Tell them, listen, this will benefit you playing your video games tonight. You'll be better at combat shooter or whatever it is, soccer, FIFA, whatever it is, Madden. So if you put it in a sense where they'll look at it as a positive in their youthful life at that point, it'll become fun. And once they start, eating foods like that on a weekly basis, they'll get very used to it. But more importantly, their mind and their bodies will become used to it, and they will actually start to shy away from those other foods because their mind and body will not accept those foods anymore. It's a very interesting dynamic that occurs because once you start to bring this amazing life into your body from healthy food sources, your body almost says, don't eat that, eat the healthy food source. So it creates a change, but it's one that you need a lot of patience with. It's a journey.
I started this show. This is now our 4th episode. And the concept of the show was to be about Woodhaven soccer, to give them content, recap of scores and games and get players involved, parents involved. And it was important for me to do a health and nutrition and fitness. And we just got a question from a parent, and she writes, I'm hooked. What time is the best time to come into the store and meet with you? And that's why this was so important to do this kind of show with the knowledge that they were all getting from you. So people, they're watching and they're loving what you're saying, and they want to know, when is the best time to come in?
Well, this is why we're going from a 650 square foot location here in Queens, New York, which is the headquarters where it all started, to a now 3,000 square foot location. One of the main reasons is so that I can once again get behind the counter, get involved, help the community become. My goal is honestly to help Queens become the most healthy community in the world. One day that will happen, but the way that will happen is us opening this 3,000 square foot location, which we're about 12 weeks away from. We just signed the lease. As far as an ability to meet with me, I'm in the warehouse. So my warehouse is at 10546 Cross Bay Boulevard. My retail is at 10706. If at any point you come in, I'm usually in between 12 and 9 p.m. Mondays through Friday, and occasionally I'm there on Saturdays for the better part of 4 or 5 hours. If you come in anywhere from a Monday to Friday between 1 and 5:30, 6 p.m., I can be accessed. If it's a parent that comes in, I will stop everything I'm doing, unless I'm talking to another parent, of course, to make sure that I make time for what I believe is the most important, part of the day, dealing with an individual in the community to help a child or to help themselves or to help a team. So I'm available. Walk in the retail, ask for Steve. They'll call me, tell them Woodhaven Soccer sent you, and we're good to go.
And again, as much as we're a youth soccer club, this is for parents also. It's kids, parents, it's everything.
The most important thing is not to convince our kids to eat correctly. It's to convince you, the parent. So if you understand the beneficial and positive impact that eating correctly can create in your lifetime, you will then be more willing to pass it down to your children and everyone around your life. So anybody that I've worked with over the years has become a major proponent of our brand, saying, this is what, Natural Body did for us. This is what I want it to do for you. Go in or eat healthy. Now, again, this isn't a show about Natural Body. This is a show about reaching in to the minds and the bodies of our children in a way where we absolutely have to be determined to and we're obligated to. So creating a beneficial impact on a nutritional level is not only going to help them, but it's going to help our planet for the next 1,000 years. So, let's get this train headed in the right direction, and let's start taking that journey to find out what food sources that we can line ourselves up with that are going to make that most beneficial impact.
And I'll touch on something personal. I about a month ago, I had said to you that my youngest son went to the doctor and he had high cholesterol. and you suggested the fish oil.
Yeah.
I believe it was.
Now be very careful with fish oil because you have to make sure it's a wild caught, wild packaged fish oil. Another subject for another day, but all natural organic fish oils are crucial. Stay away from synthetic farm-raised fish oils. 100%. Fish are not supposed to eat corn, soy, and other non, ocean created elements. Fish are supposed to eat elements that come from the ocean. All natural plankton, algae, other fish. So if a fish is raised in a farm, stay away from that version of fish oil, please. Okay.
Again, we're going to go about another 10 more minutes. Keep those questions coming in. Email us, info@woodhavensoccer.com, using the subject Ask Steve. We have a question here. When is a good time to feed your child pasta, and when is not a good time? This is for the Italian players.
Okay, so pasta, pasta was a staple of my life since I was a baby, and I've grown to kind of move away from the whole wheat, semolina, multigrain pasta products because a lot of them are made in a way where it's very tough for your body to convert those carbohydrates to fuel rapidly. So it creates this almost brick-like feel in your digestive system. So when you're introducing pasta as a meal to your body, along with, say, chicken or fish or your complement of vegetables, because of the way pasta digests and because of the way wheat is now grown in our country, it almost sits in our system between 6 and 8 hours. So therefore, it drains our cells and creates this massive amount of blood flow that attacks our digestive system. If you're going to eat pasta, I would highly suggest rice versions of pasta. And I know this is almost like anti-Italian, but I eat a brown rice pasta from Tinkiata. Tinkiata makes a brown rice version of pasta. There are different rice pastas out there. Trader Joe's.
And there's a lot of whole grains. And
yeah.
Now if you go down the pasta aisle,
you have egg pasta. You have soy pasta, which I would stay away from because most soy products are genetically engineered and not of a natural source. But as far as, again, if pasta must be a staple in your body, I completely understand. Pasta must be eaten anywhere from 4 to 6 hours before a game because of its very slow digestive period. Now, after a game, pasta can be eaten within the half an hour to hour time window because, again, after a game, your body needs carbohydrates to create that what we call glycogenic impact, and it helps to recover muscle and broken down elements of the body. So having pasta after a game immediately is okay. Having pasta before a game will spell absolute disaster for the performance of your child and honestly for the health of him or her as well.
Now, as far as, because again, we know Sunday dinners, we know your family Sunday dinners, toppings as far as with the pasta, how is
sauces are okay, 100%. Again, most tomato sauces, you want to make sure you're avoiding a tomato sauce with corn syrup. Years ago, when I really started to dive into some of these ingredients and to understand where they originated, I started to examine everything I put in my body, everything. So I started to look at the cans on some of these tomato purees and pastes, and I was like shocked and appalled that I seen high fructose corn syrup, partially hydrogenated oils, and other synthetics, even artificial sweeteners in some of them like aspartame and sucralose that I did not want to put in my body, and I did not want my customers or anybody on the planet to eat, nonetheless. So find a natural tomato sauce, create your own version of pasta sauce, make it from scratch, pesto sauce. There's so many different toppings now, but look for the key. The key here is all natural. Even better, organic, but all natural is the key. So avoid the synthetic ingredients, the additives, the preservatives, the things that allow these products to add years on a shelf. So toppings are tremendous. In fact, some toppings actually create beneficial health in our bodies. There are certain herbal toppings that taste amazing. Sea salt. I'm a big proponent of sea salt. I use sea salt on my tomatoes. I use sea salt on my rice. I use sea salt on almost everything that I'm eating around dinner time. I use small portions, sometimes larger ones, but sea salt is a naturally occurring element of our earth and will be disposed of and digested through by the body much more easily than other sodium versions. But toppings are okay. Again, keywords, all natural.
All right, we touched a lot on food. Oh, we'll touch a little bit on fitness, especially, with our players. As far as exercises or stretching, and again, last week I touched on gym class. There's no such thing as gym class anymore. So these kids are not getting any of that exercise in school. What can young players do as far as on their off days when they're not training?
A trip to the park, as far as creating fitness on that level in a young child is instrumental. Even if they're inconsistent between, playing in the handball court or running around after the other kids, shooting up a basketball on the youth hoop station, whatever is available for them. Getting them there in the sun, because remember, from the sun you're getting your vitamins A and D. You're also creating a difference the way your brain responds to things. Getting them to a park at least once or twice a week is key. Getting them to play outside, to even taking walks up and down the blocks or in the neighborhoods is very instrumental.
I know when we were growing up, we rode bikes.
I rode bikes, played handball, played wiffle ball.
I don't see. Years ago, you would see bikes on lawns. Yeah. Nobody rides bikes anymore. I don't know if it's safety reasons now, because with the helmets, which it's important. But
getting a kid a bike, a skateboard, something interesting, dress it up, whatever it is that you got to do to get them outside, that's key. Getting them inside, having them inside, playing video games, that should be their reward for being outside X amount of hours. So, a great game plan would be to say to your child, okay, you have 12 hours to be outside this week. When you achieve those 12 hours, you will have 4 hours of inside gameplay. So that would be a video game, playing on their iPad, whatever it is that they're doing inside, watching TV. But they should, without question, go for X amount of hours outside, or even playing inside. Set up some type of drill inside where they have to do some type of sporting drill in the house. Maybe, these different stations that they have now that are available.
Christine constantly has our living room filled with cones. Yeah. And she's dribbling in and out of cones.
Setting up 6 or 8 cones, having them, kick a ball or even run between the cones, that's more helpful on a rainy day.
Because I constantly tell them the players to be with the ball. Parents don't want them kicking the ball in the house, though. I've been down that road.
So setting them up with a goal in terms of having a certain amount of activity, even if it's in the house, will earn them the reward of playing the video game, watching TV, whatever it is that they enjoy doing on their other free hours.
All right, we're going to take a few more questions. So again, get the last minute questions in. info@woodhavensoccer.com using the subject Ask Steve. All right, here's a question. While on the sidelines or just before a game, what is the best way to help a hungry young player?
Okay, so if a child absolutely has to eat something, number one, make sure you have, water available. Make sure you're able to keep them hydrated with natural beverages. Also, again, getting back to that natural sorbet, taking a NutriBullet and loading it with some natural fruit sources, blueberries, strawberries, pineapple, banana, whatever it is that you have available at home, and turning it into a puree and having them just sip on that. Again, you want to water it down. You don't want them to have an 8-ounce natural sorbet, because your body, again, has to digest and break down all those sugars. But it's a lot better than having them eat a snack bar, which may consist of a multiple amount of grains that's hard to digest. Multiple types of synthetic sugars. Also, avoid those Gatorades. But having them have a watered down sorbet is so much better than having them eat something during a game, because those carbohydrates are rapidly converted to fuel. So, or even some nuts. A half a dozen is what somebody like us would eat during a game. So maybe 3 to 5 almonds or macadamia nuts. But they must understand, getting them to realize that eating during a game could slow down their progress during the game is key, because eating during the game will hamper their progress. But the only way that they'll know that is if we drill it into their heads and to why. So once they understand, they won't be as prone to wanting to eat during a game.
Right. You know what? And I'm sure there's just a lot of players out there that are just the way society is now. These kids are programmed to just constantly eat.
Yeah.
So they come to a game, and that 1 hour game, and they're constantly, oh, I'm hungry. Where they're so programmed now that they just want to eat. So we need to do a better job.
The great thing about nuts, almonds, macadamia nuts, all the nuts we named, they provide a steady stream of energy to the body, the brain, your joints, your organs. So eating nuts before a game will actually minimize the appetite of anyone who's eating those. So, a handful of nuts 2 hours before a game could be crucial to not only minimizing their appetite during a game, but enhancing their performance. Because, the fats, the essential fatty acids in nuts will actually lubricate joints and help them run, help them with their brain power during a game. So very, very important. The omegas are very important.
And by having this knowledge and having Steve here, this has given our players an advantage, and given our entire club an advantage, because, like you said, it affects their mind, and we're now can step on the field and be that much smarter during a game.
So being nutritionally prepared and starting to buy into that train of thought is so crucial to the performance of a team that most people don't realize, and honestly most people don't implement it. So what we would see if we got everybody on the same page would be dramatic. It's more important than a practice. It's more important than a meeting. It's the most important thing to have your nutritional game plan in order, because what that will do for the performance and for the health of our youth and for us is beyond your wildest imagination.
All right, we're going to take our last question of the evening. And says, Steve, what is a good vitamin to give to young kids? And also, is there a form of omega that's suitable for kids?
Okay, I give my kids the Barlean's Omega Swirl. It's a combination omega fatty acid product that's in a yogurt form. Tastes absolutely amazing. Again, most people, when they think of health, they think of, ooh, this must taste terrible. The industry's come a long way. When I entered into the industry 19 years ago, it was a very different industry than it is now. A lot of these holistic, natural, organic, really high-end quality companies have created these amazing tasted formulas. So therefore, vitamins and omega fatty acids, protein powders, nutritional bars, they really have evolved in terms of taste. So again, the Barlean's nutritional omega fatty acid swirls, the kids call multivitamin from Natural Vitality, the new chapter version of organic vitamins. Solgar makes a natural chewable. So there's a lot of options out there. We're going to have so many more once we open this mega store, but for now, we do have quite a bit available at the Natural Body stores.
Well, again, this was very important to me to bring Steve in here. I hope everyone realized how important this was, and I can't thank you enough and appreciate it. I mean, I hope our parents got a lot out of this. Mm-hmm. Those of you who couldn't get your questions in, again, go to Natural Body. You heard Steve. Ask for Steve. I mean, that was what the subject was today. You know, he's also usually at the field 2-3 times during the week. So
I'll be there more. I'm going to be there a lot more soon.
he's-
But a couple things I wanted to say before we end it off here. This is like my passion. I love doing this. It's like asking me to watch a Miami Dolphin game on a Sunday afternoon. Like, I absolutely love this. I can do this till tomorrow morning and still have the same energy that I do now. The one thing that you have to take into consideration here is that in order for this to come to fruition, everything we talked about, the parent has to do it. That's the bottom line. Because it's not up to the child to spearhead this movement. It's up to you. So even if you're not ready to take a journey into a gym or try and, you know, create this training regimen at this point in your life, there's a lot going on. At least try to understand. And if you don't understand, ask. Because I believe once we can turn on that light bulb in the mind that wants to learn, then I believe you'll be on this path where you realize how important it is and how much of a positive impact it would make in your life. And then once that happens, then it's all said and done, because then you're going to want to carry that information to the masses. So it's a great benefit once you start your journey. And the first step is being willing to accept information into your life on that level.
I mean, I want to thank everyone who sent the questions in. Once again, I want to thank Steve. This was great. Gio, thank you.
You want to come and just wave and say?
Yeah, he'll come.
There's Gio.
There's Gio. See, he is here. It wasn't just a recording.
Yeah.
You know, and one last thing is that, you know, you had that parent that said it was Hook, and this is about Ask Steve. But at the same time, I want them to all know I'm a customer there, and I know what I see. Don't be discouraged because Steve is not there, because his staff is amazing.
Well, I'm trying to recruit Gio. Yeah. I want him to work at Natural Body, but he's an EMT, but he's made one of the most amazing life changes himself. Again, you have to, we're going back to the word believe. You have to be able to believe to succeed. So, you know, as far as you're concerned, why don't you share your life experience as far as where you came from?
Well, I came from, there's you know, again, it's a big, my journey came from learning about nutrition and learning what changed. You know, I was very, very obese, and my lifestyle changed and my body changed with it, and I found exercise and I stuck with it, you know, and it's a lifestyle. It's something that just like you said, it comes from, we have to teach our kids what nutrition is and stuff like that, and they learn from us. And again, you know, with Steve's help, I was able to achieve goals that I never ever intended that I was going to have, you know, and it's not easy, but if the want is there, anything is possible. You know?
And this all happened before Steve's children became part of the club.
Yeah.
So, which is very important. Again, he helped him. It wasn't because of Woodhaven Soccer. This is his business. This is what he
I said before. This is before I knew Steve was the owner of the company. I walked in there and I you know, I presented myself. I told him what I wanted, and again, he took his time and took me. Again, there was other customers there, and again, they were waiting there, and I felt bad because I kept looking back, but he dedicated his time towards me when I walked in there. I've
always had a very good way when I was in the store of strategizing to keep all those customers in the store, because what I would do is I would raise my voice to make sure everybody got a positive impact while they were staying. And I would always say, guys, I hope you're all listening to what I'm saying, because I think this is valuable information that you all can take with you. And that's what I always did to keep my customers there and interested. They would always say, Steve, this is amazing. I'm going to stay no matter what. I got an appointment, but I'm canceling. I'm going to stay.
You know,
so.
Go ahead.
So the bottom line with Gio is, I wanted to ask you, what was your mindset early on when you started your journey as compared to now?
Well, it's my children. My children was key to trying to change my life, knowing that I wasn't able to run with them as much as I can now, play with them. And that started me off in my journey. Now it's become more of a routine, a habit. And it's something that I tell everybody, once you get into it, You can't change.
Correct.
It's part of your life, and this is how you want to be always.
Yep.
You know, and the hardest part is getting yourself up to wanting that change. That's the hardest part.
Yep.
You know, once you overcome that hurdle, everything else comes to play. You know, and I love Natural Body. I'm a big fan of Natural Body. You can follow Steve even in their Instagram or Facebook. You can follow them, and you get a lot of information.
Yeah, and again, follow Steve, his personal Instagram at Natural Body, Natural Body Inc. at Natural Body Inc. Also on Twitter, I think it's
Natural Body NYC. But if you go to the Instagram, it links to the Twitter.
Yes.
I think.
But I'm there often enough, and I'm trying to get all the parents to know that you don't have to have Steve is there. Having Steve there is like having God there. But his staff, is just as good.
They're awesome. Yeah. They're awesome. I got the greatest people, and that's why we're able to build a brand. But let me find out what my Twitter is, because it links right from the Instagram.
I think it's at Natural Body Inc.
There we go. Natural Body Inc. It's too lit up there, but Natural Body. So
and also on Facebook, Natural Body Inc. also. And again, we always share things on our Facebook page from Natural Body. As far as their website, it's naturalbodyinc.com, but you can also go to our website. His logo is on our homepage. Click on there, and it'll take you there also.
And if anybody has any questions regarding food preparation and what foods to choose, just ask, because there's honest. I think we should have a part 2 to this, because what we can do in the part 2 is we can talk about the different combinations of foods. I can bring them in. I can bring the supplements in. We can show you guys everything. And at that point, I think you will realize how many options are available. You know, this sorbet thing is magical. You can even get like organic whipped cream. The peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, the different foods that I make. Again, it's an experimental procedure. It's a journey. You have to find out what your kids respond to. But once you hit, it's like hitting the lottery. You're good. And that's really it. So remember, a couple key things here. Keep those stomachs empty before a game. Make sure if they eat, it's 3 hours before the game and further back. And after a game, eating a combination of a healthy carbohydrate source, protein source, vegetable source is key for recovery. Foods are always key. The most important thing before any nutritional supplements, don't replace their meals. Supplement them with supplements. Don't replace.
Yeah, we'll also tell the parents sometime in the near future, you're going to put together a nutritional plan for the players. You know, it's going to be branded Natural Body. So Steve is going to, do a lot for us. And again, you heard it tonight. You hear the knowledge, the brand, shop at Natural Body. And again, this is me pushing. He didn't know I was going to sit here and push the products. But again, go to Natural Body. Every product that he spoke about tonight, he has. So in closing,
I can even do a before and after Natural Body. I'm going to send you guys pictures of before and after, what happened before when I walked into Steve, and what happened after.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather some of these like really high-end, healthy, organic, nutritional supplement bars and shakes, and maybe one day at the field I'll bring them down. We'll have a tasting. Right. But there are a lot of options. I think people think there's nothing my kid wants to eat. The hardest part is the journey. You have to experiment with so many different things once you arrive to that product or food source that he likes. Again, it's magical.
Well, again, I hope everyone enjoyed this. This was definitely part 1. We're probably going to have part 2, part 3, because this is something that our parents and our players need. So again, Steve, thank you for coming in.
I got one last thing. Keep their stomachs empty before they go to bed. Remember, you don't want their digestive systems corrupted.
Right, a lot of the kids will eat right before they go to bed.
Yes. So talking about what Giovanni said before, if they go to bed at 7, their last meal, if it's a big one, should be around 4 or 5. Cut it out 2 hours before bed. If they're hungry at night, nuts, maybe a half a cup of fruit, a quarter cup. But keep those stomachs as empty as possible before they go to sleep, stomachs empty before the game, and make sure all natural.
You heard it. This is Steve Calabrese from Natural Body. Gio, thank you for coming in. I want to thank everyone who sent their questions in. This was really good to do the show. We said it was health, nutrition, fitness. So once again, for tonight, I hope you enjoyed kicking it with FC Woodhaven and Natural Body.